Hi everyone, it's good to be in touch with you all. I hope you're doing well during this strange time of social distancing and finding good ways to fill your days that there isn't too much studying. Hopefully in the weeks to come we will be able to do something like this on Zoom, but for today I thought I would just make this short film so that we can carry on thinking about what we read in the Gospels. Hopefully you've had a chance to read the passage I sent you on WhatsApp from Matthew 21. We're going to look particularly at verses 33 to 45 just for a couple of minutes. And then after that we'll just have 2 or 3 suggestions of things that we can pray for. The parable is called in our Bibles a story about God's Son, but it's also sometimes called the parable of the wicked tenant. Jesus is telling this parable of a man who builds a vineyard, then rents it out to some tenants, and then goes off on a long trip. Sometime later, he sends a servant to go and collect his rent, but the tenants have other ideas. They beat the guy up and chase him away. The owner actually ends up sending quite a few servants, but they all get the same treatment. Eventually he decides that he's going to send his son, because he thinks that when they see who is, the tenants will respect him and do the right thing. But that's not what happens. The tenants decide that if they kill the son, they can take over ownership of the vineyard for themselves. But of course the owner doesn't let that happen, and we wouldn't expect that he would. He's going to kill the wicked tenants and give over the tenancy of the vineyard to other people. So, what is Jesus talking about in this parable? The vineyard is Israel, and the owner is God. The servants he has sent were the prophets, and these are the guys whose books we can see in the Old Testament, like Jeremiah, Isaiah, Amos, etc. But on the whole, the people didn't listen to these prophets when God sent them, and they were quite often treated pretty badly. Now, the son in our parable is Jesus, and they treated him worse by eventually killing him. And then Jesus quotes a couple of verses from Psalm 118, which talk about the cornerstone. Now, you might know this. The cornerstone is the most important stone in a building, because that's the first one they set, and all the others are set from that one. So without a cornerstone, and without a cornerstone being set properly, then the building couldn't stand. Now Jesus is criticising the religious leaders of his day, saying that they are as bad as the people who rejected Jesus, who rejected the prophets, I should say, and now they're rejecting God's Son Jesus. But the stone that was rejected, that is Jesus, will become the cornerstone that God will use to build a whole new church, and those other guys will be left behind, just like the wicked tenants in the parables. This means that not only was Jesus the only hope for the people who heard him teach, who saw him die, and who saw him after he was raised from the dead, he's the only hope for everyone who came after. That means you, me, and all the people that we know. But how can we tell people about Jesus when we're not supposed to be seeing anyone outside of our own families? Well, it would be good to hear any ideas you guys had for doing that. But we can all use the communication platforms that we're familiar with and that are available to us to check in with our friends, make sure they're okay, ask them how they're getting on. And also to be able to share, if God gives us the opportunities, something of what it's like to be a follower of Jesus and how that's helped you during this time. So that's just a little thought about that passage, and hopefully maybe next time we can meet together on Zoom or something like that and read the passage together and have a bit of a chat about it. That'd be great, and it'd be good to catch up on you guys' news and see how you're all getting on. So just a few ideas for prayer, some that you'll no doubt have thought of yourself. And maybe after we're finished here, it might be good if you could just take a few minutes to pray through a couple of these things and just bring them to God. So here, the ideas I had anyway are just NHS staff, doctors, nurses, cleaners, ward assistants, all the sort of admin people, lots of people that are keeping the hospitals going. Let's really be thankful for them and pray for them, that God will look after them and help them to stay healthy, and so they can help as many people as possible. We also want to pray for the scientists who are all working hard trying to find a vaccine for this virus, and we think they were thinking it would take quite a long time, but let's pray and ask God to help them get that as soon as possible. We also want to pray for other key workers. These are people who are running the supermarkets, delivery drivers, guys bringing the food from all over the country into our shops, firefighters, police, lots of people like that are really paramedics that are really essential to us at the moment. So let's pray for them. And also let's remember to pray for each other. I know it's not easy at all. The way that school stopped, the exams being cancelled, lots of things that are really throwing us all for a six. So we want to pray and support each other. Well, it's been great to chat, and hopefully we'll be able to chat more together in a week or so's time. Okay, thanks fellas, take care, bye now.